Targets are shifting as multiple insiders link two massive impending free agents to the Vikings who would not only fit perfectly on this team, but also in upgrading on both sides of the football, leaving Kwesi Co with a lot to handle on their plate as free agency quickly approaches. We're going to be breaking down all of that in this episode of Vikings Digest, so first make sure to hit that subscribe button and click the bell icon so you don't miss any and all updates surrounding the Vikings as we get closer and closer to the start of free agency. And with that, let's hop into the first topic of the day, which is bring in the Warden. And the Warden that I'm talking about here is Charvarius Ward, who Aaron Schatz recently was talking about in an ESPN article, saying that the Vikings will likely lose both their outside cornerbacks, Byron Murphy and Stephon Gilmore, in free agency. Ward makes for a good replacement. He's solid in both man and zone coverage, and the 49ers played more zone this past season, while Brian Flores and the Vikings defense like to do a lot of blitz packages, or zone with their blitz packages. There are a couple more seasons of prime performance left for him. And when looking at his by the numbers stats as well, Ward led the NFL in 2023 with 23 pass deflections. And the season before this past season, he recorded 5 interceptions and ranked 26th into coverage in DVOA. The state of play as well, the Vikings have approximately $63 million in cap space this offseason, but face uncertainty with their quarterback situation. We all know that the cap situation is going to depend very heavily on what they decide to do with Sam Darnold. We're going to know very soon if they're going to franchise tag him in the next 24 hours or so. Both starting corners from 2024, Murphy and Gilmore, are expected to become free agents, creating a gap in the defense, which is a big gap to leave. And they have limited draft capital, only 4 picks, which heightens the need for immediate signings like Charvarius Ward. Now, Charvarius Ward is somebody that I would be very happy with Minnesota Vikings getting, because when you look at his stats over his career, he is a Super Bowl champion, winning with Kansas City in 2019, and his numbers since he went to San Francisco as well have been very solid. This past season was only the first season since 2020 where he did not record an interception, coming off of 5 the season before that, 1 and then 2 as well the season before that. He did have a pick 6 2 seasons ago, his first and only of his career, which was for 66 yards as well, which was a very nice return for a touchdown. And then you also have his tackles as well and pass defended. That was a really big one where he led the league in passes defended in 2023, which was a huge reason why he's going to be one of those big shutdown corners that teams are going to want to go after. And he's somebody that I think would fit in very well for this Vikings team. Like the article said, Brian Flores, he likes to do a lot of zone blitz packages. Charvarius Ward excelled in the zone this past season. I know the Vikings have in the past liked to do a lot of man, but under Brian Flores, they've done a lot of really good blitz packages with the zone and getting a lot of turnovers as a result of that. And as well, if you have this corner like Charvarius Ward as well on this Vikings defense, it goes a long way towards not only having him as an extra pass rusher if they're going to blitz him on stuff, but also as a reliable lockdown corner that you can have in pass coverage if you are having to go shorthanded in pass coverage because you're sending an extra blitzer, which everyone knows that I've been beating a dead horse as far as that goes with how much Brian Flores does that. But even if they're going to, if they do improve in pass rushing, if they do end up dropping back in coverage more, trusting in their corners, trusting in their linebackers, trusting in their safeties to create turnovers, I really think that's where Charvarius Ward is going to create a lot of problems for offenses. And I think he will be one of those corners that can fill in nicely, not only for Byron Murphy, but also in the legacy of corners and DBs that Minnesota has had in recent memory. We had Xavier Rhodes, who was a very good shutdown corner. We had Cedric Griffin for how many years back in the days of the 2000s and 2010s. Then we also had Cameron Dantzler, who he was solid for the time that he was in Minnesota as well. There was some ups and downs there, but he was a fairly solid DB for us. But we really upgraded when we got into the Xavier Woods and the Patrick Petersons. And now we have a chance to go and get a guy like Charvarius Ward to fill in the hole that Byron Murphy will unfortunately, sadly, be leaving it would seem. I know the Vikings have been very keen on trying to get him re-signed, but he's going to be very expensive to get with the price tag that he's going to warrant. And speaking of price tag, when looking at Charvarius Ward, his last salary last season, he was bringing a cap hit of $13.5 million. So if the Vikings can bring this guy in on a relatively short-term deal, maybe 3 years. He is fairly young still. He is going to be a while before he does get to that older age. But again, bringing him in on a contract like this, maybe he might be looking for a little bit more term. But if he's looking for a little bit more term, maybe they can save a little bit more on the average salary. And again, it's all going to depend on what the Vikings do at the quarterback situation. if they don't re-sign Sam Darnold, franchise tag him, I think a lot of people are thinking that the Vikings are going to tag and trade Darnold, which would be a really good option because then that way you can at least get something for Darnold, especially if a team like Pittsburgh or Oakland is kind of waiting in the wings trying to just snatch him up from us. We won't have to let Darnold walk away for nothing on March 10th, sorry, with a lot of teams just open offering for him and us getting nothing. So I really like the idea of tagging and trading Darnold. As much as I've said tagging him is a really bad idea, if it is only in the instance of tagging and trading Darnold, I'm definitely okay with it because then you have a lot more cap space that you have to play with. You can go out and get a guy like Charvarius Ward on March 10th right away when free agency starts. Just give him the best offer that you can, especially if they can't get a deal with Byron Murphy done. However, if they tag and trade Darnold or don't tag Darnold at all, and they have all this money laying around, and they're able to go out and get Byron Murphy and Charvarius Ward, this is going to be a very happy Vikings fan. However, that's going to be a little bit of wishful thinking. I don't know how realistic that's going to be with how much both of these players are going to be and with how the Vikings want to go out and get an offensive lineman. But what do you guys think down in the comments below? Do you guys like the idea of going out and getting Charvarius Ward, especially if it means that we do lose Byron Murphy? Do you think he would be a reliable fill-in for that gap? Let us know what you guys think down in the comments. That's going to take us into the second topic of the day, which is, would you like fries with that? And we're talking about Will Fries from the Indianapolis Colts, where Alec Lewis had a very long snippet from The Athletic, where we're going to go into that here if you want to pause it and read through it. If you don't want to hear me read it, but I'm going to read it here as well for you guys. Headlining the list is Indianapolis Colts guard Will Fries. He fits the Vikings' preferred free agent benchmarks in that he's young, versatile, and productive. How his right tibia fracture affects his market remains to be seen, but the Vikings will likely be bidding against multiple teams, including the NFC North rival Chicago Bears. Securing Fries would go a long way toward fortifying an interior group. Head coach Kevin O'Connell has not been shy about wanting to upgrade. The Vikings interior has struggled mightily against stunts and other movements since O'Connell arrived in 2022. Moving defenders on run plays in the red zone has been another consistent issue. Position a player like Fries alongside left tackle Christian Darrisaw or right tackle Brian O'Neill, and the Vikings would be giving themselves a better chance. And right off the bat here, I think Fries would fit in perfectly, especially considering that Trey Smith, he's gone. He's franchise tagged. The Vikings have no chance of getting him now. Who's the next best available guy? Well, Mekhi Becton, like we covered, odds are likely that the Vikings are not going to get him because of the assistant offensive line coach hiring that the Vikings made and a lot of players not liking him. So who's the next best option after that? You got Will Fries here in Indianapolis, and I think this is a really good option for Minnesota going forward because, like the article said, picturing him between Darrisaw and O'Neill, that would be a match made in heaven and would really fortify the left side so that J.J. McCarthy or Sam Darnold or even Daniel Jones or by any long shot Aaron Rodgers, which I highly doubt that latter of which, don't get too crazy in the comments before you come after me. But if you go and get a guy like Will Fries here, I think it presents a lot of upside for the Vikings because Fries played his college ball at Penn State and was drafted by the Colts in the 7th round of 2021 draft. So he's at the end of his rookie deal right now. He's appeared in 37 games in his career with 27 starts and started the first 5 games of this past season before fracturing his right tibia and missing the rest of the season. He started 9 of the 16 games he played in 2022 and all 17 games in 2023. So up until recently, health wasn't too much of a concern for Fries. However, he is coming off of a season-ending tibia injury, which very ugly. You don't want to see a guy get carted off the field like that, let alone have their season end in that fashion. However, if he's coming off this injury, this is a chance where it poses a lot of risk. Don't get me wrong. With his health, it might pose a lot of risk for the Vikings to sign him. However, if that affects his value on the market, Minnesota could go out and get a steal with this guy because he's coming off of a rookie deal where he wasn't getting paid a lot. However, that is a rookie deal. He's going to be warranting around the $14 million range for a contract. So that will be very expensive. However, with a guy this young and a guy with this much talent and this much upside, I don't see how you can pass up this opportunity. Mekhi Becton, he's also young, but again, like I said, the odds getting him were very low. And the reason why we were so passionate about going out and getting Trey Smith before he was franchise tagged was because of his age. He was at the end of a rookie deal, coming off of 2 Super Bowls and was playing a chance for a 3rd straight. So he would have a lot of experience, a lot of playoff experience, a lot of coaching experience from Andy Reid, and a lot of maturity to go with that at the end of a rookie deal. But can't get him. Will Fries, Colts haven't had a lot of playoff success, but before his injury, he was very healthy, played in almost every single game, and then that unfortunate injury happened after the first 5 games of this season. But the Colts, we played them earlier this year, or last season, I should say now, but we played them. They gave us a little bit of problems in that first half. Then we ran away with it in the second half, but that first half, they gave us a little bit of problems. Jonathan Taylor, he was starting to expose us a little bit. And that offensive line in Indianapolis has always been pretty damn good. Quentin Nelson, can't say anything more about him that hasn't been said already. So bringing in Will Fries brings in somebody who's learned from Quentin Nelson, and this is somebody who can come into a great Minnesota Vikings culture who brings a lot of upside. But what do you guys think about bringing in Will Fries? Do you guys think that Fries and Ward would be a great combo to bring in free agency with the Minnesota Vikings? Let us know what you guys have to say down in the comments. But that's going to take us into our final topic of the day, which is comment of the day. And we picked a few from this one from one of our last videos, but these comments were flooding in over the past few days. We got 3 here where you got great reporting style. Thanks, bro. That was on one of Kirk's videos. Lifelong Vikings fan, new to this channel. Keep it up. Keep up the good work. Skol, baby. And then there, I'm subscribed now. Skol to the Bull. Yes, Skol to the Bull. This was a phrase that when I was in Detroit for the Motown Showdown, Logan and I were saying it to a lot of Vikings fans that we saw, and we appreciate all the love and support that we have from these passionate Vikings fans and all of you guys watching. We know this Minnesota Vikings fan base, we've been through a lot. It's been a tough road, whether you're a new fan or an old fan as far back as the 70s, or a new fan that's been a fan as recent as the 2020s, trying to see if they can get a Super Bowl in this recent era. It's been a tough road. It's been a long road for Vikings fans, especially like even me. I've been a fan as far back as the early 2000s, and it's been a long road for me. I can't imagine what it would be like for someone who's been a lifelong fan that is even older than I am, like twice my age. Can't imagine what it's like for you guys wanting to see a Super Bowl. Hopefully, J.J. McCarthy, Kevin O'Connell, Kwesi Adofo-Mensah, Justin Jefferson, hopefully they are the guys to get us there, and hopefully one day we will be on here talking about Minnesota Vikings winning a Super Bowl. If that day comes, I guarantee you guys we will be wherever the Super Bowl is that year, because we will want to be there with you, bringing you guys all the boots on the ground action. But that's a one dream that we will hopefully achieve one day with this channel. Here's to a step of trying to get towards that, and that is going to be the start of free agency. But that's going to do it for this episode of Vikings Digest. Leave a like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell icon so you don't miss new episodes when they drop. But with that, I've been your host, Griffin. Take care.